We said the first of that dispensation or age is what the Bible calls eternal past. Because before the first man ever showed up in the studios of eternity, God sat down and curated the destiny of every one of us. So none of us is an accident in God's agenda. The Bible said before you were formed in your mother's womb, Jeremiah 1 verse 5, he said, I knew you and I ordained you a prophet. So our callings and our ordinations did not begin the day we were born. They were written even before we were formed in our mother's womb. All of those operations, we said, they are dealings of God with man in eternal past. So there was a time when all of us were intangible seeds of eternity in the heart of God. And it was in that era that God wrote your destiny. So when you come into time, the possibility of creativity with destiny is not warranted. Because before you came, your destiny was already written. If you miss it, eternity will be a dislocation for you. Because you will not have functioned according to the script of your destiny. It's just like a movie writer plans a movie and allocates character. And then you enter the movie and because you are so creative, you decided to drift from your character and start playing something entirely. You are not part of that movie anymore. Creativity is not permitted because every character was scripted. So there was an age where your destiny was scripted. That was where God began to deal with humanity. It's called ages past. It's called eternal past, or before the ages began. In 1 Corinthians 2:7, if you read in the New King James Version, it said, but we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, the hidden wisdom which God ordained before the ages. Now this will bring you consolation as a child of God. They may call you a bastard on earth, maybe because they can't trace your father, but in the context of the divine, there are no bastards. Because before you came, he knew, and your destiny was captured. On earth you may be despised, you may be called a slave, you may be called a stranger, depending on where you are living. That's not part of God's plan. He said before the ages began, something was written for you. And I told us yesterday that 3 things were captured in eternal past before the ages began. I said number 1 is your calling. Jeremiah 1 verse 5. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, he knew you. I said number 2 is glory. Glory was allocated to your life. He said these things were hidden before the foundations of the world for your glory. So you were created to live a glorious life. And then number 3, I read from Ephesians 1 verse 4. I said you were ordained to live holy and blameless. What that means is that you were preordained to live for God. So although your life appears to be your own, your life does not belong to you. That's why you were not consulted before you were brought here, and you will not be consulted before you are taken away. It will be delusion for you to assume your life is your own. The Bible said you are not your own. That time will never come when you belong to yourself. You belong to God. That's how it was ordained. So you came here to live for God. And if you live for God, your life will be full of glory. And if your life is full of glory, you will fulfill your calling. Because before man was created, there was an age called eternity past, before the ages began.